This podcast is brought to you by The Healthy Hub.
I need a bad one like you. Yeah, you need a bad.
Hello, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Just to Kick It Is a Blessing podcast with your host, Keith Tupac Gatiramu. Thank you for coming in on another day to just tune with me, vibe with me, learn something, get inspired, And today in studio, I have a very, very special guest with me, And without further ado, I'll let him introduce himself.
Yeah. Go by the name Sam Malonza. You can call me Samson Malonza if you want to go. Call me by the government names. Or also known as DJ Rubba out here. And also go by the stage name of Malonza as well.
Yeah. I actually don't think I've known your government name and until today, man. Like even your contact on my phone is DJ Malonza,
Yeah,
and I'm used to saving like guys with two contacts.
Uh-huh.
But bro, it's really nice to have you in studio, and come and learn from you, So tell us about you. Who is DJ Malonza or Sam Malonza?
DJ Malonza. Oh, yeah. Well, basically, a young 27-year-old graduate architect, DJ, and pilot in training at the moment.
Wow.
So that's who I am. Yeah.
Whoa. So, hey, how you balancing the three?
Honestly, it was tough at first, especially when I was doing my undergrad.
Yeah.
That's when I was studying architecture. That's the time where I ended up getting a couple of contracts with some companies around here.
Yeah.
And you'd find that I'm booked out from like Thursday till about Sunday, and I still have now my projects to do.
Yeah.
And especially at that time, I was just getting to my graduating year, so it was quite tough. But then, luckily, I found a way to just keep the weekends for that, but also make sure when I'm giving time to my school, I make sure I do it to my best. I do it to my all.
Yeah.
So it's tough, but you can manage it as long as you know how to keep time and manage yourself.
You're saying that you were booked from Thursday to Sunday, yeah?
Yeah.
That wasn't affecting your Friday or your Monday?
Honestly, you have a hard Monday, but then thing is you have to control yourself in terms of let's say you're out there in the club and guys are drinking, you have to know how you're controlling your drinks of the night, because if you end up drinking like everyone else, you might end up messing up your Monday. So have a very hard start to your Monday. So yeah, then just honestly, it's a lot of self control. Where gets to Sunday, I know once I'm done DJing, I'm probably still in the club for like an hour. Then I head back home. Yeah.
That's tough because I see people on Twitter, especially Kenyans, saying how Pomboya Sunday is the best, So how are you even finding it though? Like you wouldn't drink at all, or you had enough control to like have one or two and go?
Well, honestly, you know yourself as a person. You know your limits as a person. So I know if I drink past this much,
Yeah.
I'll really struggle through my Monday. And it really sucks to have a bad start to a week most of the time. So you really have to know how to control it. Then at that time, uni was also quite demanding and quite tough at that time. So yeah, I had to make sure I'm showing my folks that as much as I'm DJing, I'm still giving education the importance it needs.
Yeah. How was architecture, man? And where did you study?
Architecture, I did it in University of Nairobi.
Yeah.
Well, I had a passion at it, but then somewhere in the middle, I was quite challenged. That I remember I had to take like a gap year,
Yeah.
just to think about how school is, how it's treating me, how my mental health was at that moment, and also think about DJing at the same time, because DJing is something I've done from 2013. Yeah. But then professionally, I've done it from about 2015, 2016. Yeah, but I started it a while back. Yeah.
So when we see you being booked from Thursday to Sunday,
Yeah.
it's because of the time and work you've put in.
Yeah, honestly, it's been a long journey. There was a point I was about to drop it all. and just stop DJing as well because it wasn't making sense to me at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the days like per se you'd have to DJ for free or something.
Exactly. Now I can go back to about 2015.
Yeah.
I remember, luckily enough, now my folks supported me through the whole journey.
Yeah.
So then I bought my equipment. I had sound, I had my decks, but then I have no gigs. You can imagine. And the equipment is just hella expensive out there.
Yeah.
So at that time, I've already invested too much in it, but then I'm not getting gigs.
Yeah.
If I go for a gig, someone wants to pay me with exposure, like they say it out there, or you find a small club that's going to pay you something to about 3K to 5K at that time, and you're wondering, well, with 3K and 5K really helped me with,
That's your Uber.
Imagine.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was, at that time it was too tough because I'm like, I have all this, I have everything here, but then I'm not really making much of it. So I remember I was just about to just, end up just push DJing to the side completely, focus on my education and just finish it. Lucky enough, I got a break somewhere and yeah, everything panned out to go well.
Yeah. Tell us about your break if you don't mind.
To be honest, it was a friend of mine who actually recommended me somewhere.
Yeah.
We ended up getting a contract to one of the restaurants chain like in Kenya.
Yeah.
And it was a good contract at that time because I was wondering, you could imagine now they had me from Friday till Friday, Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
And it was amazing because now I could use my equipment finally. It was getting a lot of dust out there in my room. So finally I got a chance for that where at that time it was being owned by some South African guy who had an idea and told me had the idea from us and told us to show him what we'd love to do with this idea. He loved it from the first time and we went ahead with it. And it was amazing because I've been lucky enough to open a couple of branches. They've opened up in Nairobi. So I was part of the team which was doing the sound, doing the whole entertainment thing for them.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was interesting.
You didn't finish. You told us somewhere along the way you didn't like architecture.
Yeah.
And is that what motivated you to go to flying school?
Well, no, architecture, I really loved it. It's just that the industry and the market here in Kenya is quite, I feel like it wasn't appealing to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was quite restrictive. The old folk were in there, really try to control everything. And I feel like I'm more of a person who'd love to, see different places and be at different places every time. And what's a perfect office rather than piloting, which gives you such a
experience.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's what I decided to do. And I had a passion of planes since I was young. I loved the whole concept of why is something so huge floating in the air and everything. So yeah, I just decided let me just go ahead and go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I may ask you, what made you do architecture first, even before piloting?
It was still my dream. It was still my passion. Yeah. I was about, well, my folks probably wanted me to go into something with engineering and all that. But then I remember my dad told me at the end of the day, this is your decision you'll make because uni days are your days to live out.
Yeah.
So I ended up just choosing architecture because I was more inclined into the arts and the design part when I was in high school as well, or all through my education part. So yeah, architecture seemed amazing to me.
I think parents usually have a lot of influence, on what they want their children to be and everything. Mm-hmm. And that actually brings me to my next question: is how did you convince your parents even about the switch? After saying, look, we've already invested in 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
How do you want to tell us now you want to switch? Because you see, I think a lot of parents previously have had issues with their kids about what they want them to study. And even for me, personally, my dad wanted me to be a doctor. Mm-hmm. But me, I told that guy, I can't do medicine. Blood, those things, they give me the icks,
Yeah.
Yeah, so how do you convince your parents, especially you now also telling them you're trying to balance school and DJing? How did that conversation go?
Luckily enough, when I started, my mom was like back supporting me the whole way. My dad is one which had to take some convincing
Yeah.
for him to see if I'm really making the most with what I want to do. So I remember with them, luckily now both of them ended up becoming so supportive in everything I do. And, they believe in that thing where as a young person, especially when you're still under your folks' care and everything, if there's something you can do is they can always give you chances. So it's up to you to always be prepared to take the opportunity. So they always used to advise me on like if there's anything you want to do in life, go for it, bro. So yeah, that's luckily enough they supported me through everything. I didn't have to convince them too much. They're just like, well, DJing I had to, because my dad at first was like, yo, we've taken you like through crazy education in your life, so now you just want to throw it at DJing. But then he ended up seeing that it's something I loved, and now at the end of the day, he sees like I can make some bag out of it, and he's like, yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
These days he's out there telling guys, hey, my son is a DJ plus an architect. I'm like a pilot now. Because I'm very proud dad. So yeah, at least thing is I didn't let him down when I was doing it. I didn't let myself down as well. So yeah.
When I look at it, there's one thing that in the short conversation we've already had is parents, and what importance do parents play in supporting their kids, because for me, there's a song back in the days I used to listen to. It's by Casting Crowns. It's really a gospel song. It's called American Dad, and it talks about this dad that's constantly chasing, to provide and never supporting. So for you, like, what role do you think supportive parents have played in you being who you are today?
I feel like they played a very important role in that they gave me the motivation to like push on and never give up, especially in something that you're chasing. In terms of you find that even when you face failure or something, I was really backed by I'm really backed by my parents around that, and they usually tell you, failure is something that comes there to just remind you that good things are yet to come. And because we're brought up in this society where everyone just talks about wins.
Yeah.
You never talk about the time you took your L and bounced back from it. We never talk about that a lot. So the support I got from them is reminding me that in case you meet L's and any obstacles through your way, just know you can always bounce back, because that's a support I have from them. They have to remind me like, yo, never give up on it, trust yourself. You always know you can turn to if you ever need help or if you ever need anyone to talk to. They've always been there for me. So I feel like parents you really need to back your kids out there in anything they do. In terms of, you can see their wins and you cannot all celebrate them, but then they really need you the most when they're at the lowest point.
Yeah.
That's when you really need the support the most. And I'm happy and lucky enough that I've been able to be supported through my life so far.
You brought in an important point, and you talked about wins and losses, and usually a lot of us just show wins,
Exactly.
We never show losses. So tell us, what's one of the losses, or what's one of the most challenging moments you've faced in, it could be in either career, it could be, if you want to share in all three, what's one of those hiccups you've come across in life? How did it make you feel?
Well, I mentioned the one when I was in uni, the one I even took a gap year to think about things. But I think let me focus more on my recent ones. I had one when I was heading out to start my training last year in 2021, yeah? Years are moving fast. So
For real.
back in 2021, I remember leaving and had spent the last year, well, COVID was there and all that, but then I spent most of the last 2 years DJing, That's all I'd been up to. So going back into a school setting where, let me tell you, bro, piloting is hella intense. The ground school part of it is crazy. It takes up all your time. You lose your social life totally. So you have to really focus into it and really have to go in there with a strong mindset. So I went there thinking, yeah, I'm strong enough and I'm ready for everything and all that. But then my first 2 months out there were really hard. They're really tough because I'm like, yo, first of all, I was used to just partying over the weekend and I have Monday till Wednesday as my rest days. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was my life in Nairobi.
Yeah.
But then now I'm back to, I'm waking up at 6 in the morning and sleeping at 11 at night because that's a full day of like my or my training starts at 8. By 5, I'm done. But then I have to do my reading as well. So it was crazy for me. And I was like, nah. I remember at the point I was thinking to myself, I'm like, nah, I'm about to call my folks and tell them like, yo, let's cut the cameras, man. I need to get back to Nairobi.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then, luckily, like, they really supported me through it. Like I'm saying, they really backed me and told me like, you know what, when you're out there, go out there and just do your best. Thing is, as long as you can say you tried at what you were doing, you'll always be proud of the effort you put in stuff. So I had to like put my mind down, put my head down, everything, and just focus on what's ahead of me. Take each challenge one by one rather than looking at the whole picture. Because you can imagine when I was there, we ended up doing like 20 different exams. You can imagine a span of about 6-7 months. No, it was crazy. You're just like, what's going on? Yeah. But then my folks were just like, just look at what's ahead. Stop thinking about all 20 of them. Look at the one that's coming soon.
Yeah.
Do your best at that one. Move it to the side. Let's move on to the next one. Then once you're done, you'll step back and look at the whole picture and you'll be proud of yourself. So yeah, I had to just put my head down and they supported me, backed me through. People who can talk to and turn to and talk. That's regardless of, it's not just about school, like how I was feeling out there. You're in a new environment, you're with new people, different culture as well. You have experienced that, but then, you're in a different setting again, and you just have to, get to make it home in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and find people you can turn to and talk to. Once I got comfortable, it ended up well, and so far so good with my training. So yeah.
And that also now brings me to my next question. You said that when you were there, it was unable for you to be social and everything.
Yeah.
So did you feel like because you had removed such a crucial aspect of your life, did you feel like that affected you?
It somehow affected me at the start because I didn't know how to make sense of it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know how to find the balance of accepting that I'm at a different phase in my life and a couple of things would change. And as humans, sometimes we're afraid of change. Yeah, we usually get scared of change. So I had to just accept it, take it in. Then I'll find ways to survive in it as well and find ways to enjoy it as I survive it. So yeah, luckily enough now you end up making friends there. You end up getting comfortable as well with some people. So it's no longer the social life I had in Nairobi, but then we make fun and make the most of the time we had there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And the other day I saw an article on Instagram that unfortunately a DJ had committed suicide and everything. And that brings me to my next question is, do you think that people in your industry struggle with mental health issues? And if so, why?
Well, first of all, rest in peace to DJ Lithium. We worked with him once some time back, but I feel like he was an amazing guy. Yeah. But rest in peace to him. Thing is, about our industry and mental health, I don't think we have enough conversations in our industry about that. And quite a number of guys are really going through it, but, don't have outlets and don't have anywhere where they can share what they're going through. So if we could start the convo in our industry, it would be amazing. Yeah. So I feel like a lot of people go through a lot of things, but then they don't know how to reach out and they don't know. You feel like there's a whole ego thing as well because you find the industry is weirdly, or rather at the moment, it's been male dominated for some time.
Yeah.
So you feel like the guys don't really talk to each other about, about serious things and things they're going through in life. Guys just talk about the moment where let's drink right now, let's just play music, then it's done. You never figure out like, did you get back home well? Because DJs go through a lot. Someone might just leave the gig and just get robbed outside.
Yeah.
People go through such. You get home, probably you're struggling to like pay out your rent and everything. But then at the club, you have to come to the club and give guys a good time.
Yeah.
Guys don't want to know about that when they're in the club. So yeah.
And do you think that's why? And I was seeing something, a tweet that said, depression or mental health is basically your avatar telling you that you're running away from being yourself. And do you ever feel like there's two personas, like there's Sam Malonza and there's DJ Malonza?
Honestly, yeah, I feel like I run two different personalities out here.
Yeah.
I feel like guys who know me as the DJ think I'm quite an outgoing guy and everything, but personally, like Sam Malonza is a very introverted guy.
Yeah.
Honestly, I prefer spending time alone than outside there with people. But then when it comes to the job, I have to keep it professional, I have to, like I've told you, someone is coming to the club to have a good time. So it doesn't care how you're feeling at that moment or anything. He wants you to keep the club going. Club managers want you to keep the sales going, They want the crowd coming. So once I'm out there as a DJ, it's a whole different person to when I'm back home as Sam. Yeah.
Yeah. And now that you've actually said that, is there ever been an experience when you've had to, fake it or really pressure your persona in being happy when you are not really happy, but you needed to be professional and do what you had to do?
Yeah, I remember there's a point, luckily enough, it was like, I feel like fate also saved me.
Yeah.
Because it was just about the time before I left the country last year.
Yeah.
So I remember some 2-3 gigs before I left. Bro, I was so depleted. I was so drained. I didn't even have the energy. I remember I usually play normally a 3 to 4 hour set.
Wow.
But then after about 2 hours, I remember I told like one of the DJs was there who was like a resident. I just told him like, yo, bro, trust me, today it's not the day and I'm not feeling it. So could you just cover it up for me? Luckily enough, he did. He saved my day. But then I remember that day getting to the club, setting up. But then the energy wasn't there. I just felt so drained. I just felt tired because, you see people now come, try give you shots, try give you a drink or two to keep the energy going, and it just wasn't there. So I remember I just finished like midway through the set. Luckily enough, guys didn't notice because he went on with the party. Then I just took on straight to the car and just went back home to, calm my mind, try recharge and get back my energy for the next gig, which was the next day. So yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It was crazy, yeah.
And because you see, now that you're saying that, it takes, like a lot of people, like especially as men, and you said it's a male-dominated industry, they'll never step back and say, hey, today I'm not 100 to do something. So for you, how did you, make that decision? Because like you said, a lot of men, they just go through something, even though, you can see it in the guy's eyes, or you can even feel it, that this guy's not 100. So how did you actually have the courage, to step back and make such a decision?
Like I said, you have to know how to love yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to know your limits when it comes to things. You have to really be out there taking care of yourself first. Yeah. So I remember I was just playing. I could feel now. For me, I felt the energy for myself, and I remember also like one of my friends, one of my boys was there. He was telling me like, "Yeah, bro, are you okay today?" And I'm like, "Man, you can feel them struggling." He's like, "Yeah, I can feel it." And I was like, "Yo, honestly, I wasn't having it." So trust yourself, where you have to show yourself enough love so that if you're really going through it, just take the break, take the pause. So I just told myself like I can't do this anymore. Luckily enough, like I have good relationships with like my friends and even guys I work with in the industry. So the guy understood me because I just told her like, bro, Leo energy I go, and he felt it as well. And I can yeah, you just take the break. So yeah, luckily enough, people who understand me around me, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. You brought an important point about love yourself. I think a lot of people, struggle with loving themselves. So is this something that, have you always just loved yourself, or is it something you've grown to have, because even for me personally, if you've had some of my podcasts, and, like one of the things I've struggled with, and I probably still struggle with, is loving myself. You know, you find it easier to, love other people or love someone else, especially if you're in a social industry.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I usually say personally, it's not something I've had all along my life. It's something I ended up learning somewhere through my life so far. And it's something I remember my mom kept on instilling in me when I look at things like back in the day. She kept on like reminding me like, yo, you should always remember to, have your back, love yourself, always try, it's not, it's not the know your rights that you're the one that's read out here. It's know when you're wrong, and know when you're right. Yeah. But always remember to love yourself, because it started as young and being through relationships and all that and going through the breakups. Then, you have to like remind yourself like, this is not the end of life and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's something I learned through my life. And after that, I felt like it's really changed a lot to like how things have been in my life. I'm never really bothered about people's like comments and times. I'm never really bothered like I'd be used to back in the day. I've like now you'd say I feel like my cup is full enough for me to be able to also give out love and love others as much as I'm loving myself. So yeah. So it's something I learned somewhere through my life, and it's something I've really been grateful for being able to attain. Yeah.
And now that you live such a social life and everything, how do you manage your relationships? I'm sure your DMs must be crazy, Say, oh,
my DMs are dry anyway, let me not lie. But let me not lie. But yeah, you have to, like I say, you have to be true to yourself and true to, especially if you're having either an intimate or something emotional with someone. You really have to be true to each other. Yeah. Don't lie to yourself out here and be like, you're messing around out here and you have someone who someone who you're loving on this other side. So DMs might be popping, but then man's airing them. Yeah. I can't. I'm just like, just try be nice and try be polite and back, rather than don't give back an energy that's probably suggestive or what. Just be polite and be nice back to them, and that's how I try to handle it.
Yeah.
I'll say hi back, and yeah. It's nice to meet you. Probably loved my set, and I'm like, yeah, thank you. Yeah, hope I see you next time. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. You said you're what? You said you're 27. Do you think that you're in an age where society is pressuring you to get married?
Well, honestly, there's people go through that pressure.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm lucky enough I'm not going through it.
Yeah.
But then, thing is, I have an older bro who's like 3 years older than me. But then he got into a serious relationship at like 26. By like 28, he moved out with a girlfriend. Now he's already married, and now has a wife and kid.
Yeah.
He's 30, and I'm just like, shit, that's me in 3 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then there's no pressure, especially from my family, and that's one thing I love about them, because you're reminded that you have to know you have to know where you at as yourself, as a person, in terms of your career, in terms of your life as well. Because you see, I'm already chasing. I'm still training right now.
Yeah.
I'm still doing what right now. Those are things I want to accomplish first before I start looking into other things. I can't start settling right now and I'm out of the country for like a year and then back. It's tough. So things like that, it's gonna get to a point where yes, I'll be ready for that, but I know we'll never really be ready for anything.
Yeah.
But at the moment, my mind's just on the grind. Let me just get this out of the way right now. And yeah, but you can also have something serious with someone as long as you know each other's boundaries, you know how both of you make it work and everything. You just need to be clear with your mind and everything about it. So yeah.
Yeah. Now that we've talked about relationships, I know. Let me ask you something a bit controversial. So now that you go out a lot and you're there and basically you see everything the whole crowd are. What do you think about relationships in Nairobi?
Oh, depends on the club. But now I'm joking. But yeah, well, in Nairobi, honestly, I feel like people need to be honest. I just say people need to grow up. Yeah,
Yeah.
people need to be honest to themselves, never to the other person. Don't stop lying to yourself when you're out here. You know, just don't lie to yourself. Don't play yourself in the streets. The streets are tough. They're really tough. You really need to know who you're seeing and what type of relationship you have with them. I'm a person who honestly believes in having friendships with like my partners and everything. Yeah. So if we don't have a base in this relationship, I don't think we can really have a strong
Upwards.
a strong upwards and a strong like years together and everything like that. So in Nairobi, it's just it's crazy. You see the craziest thing. You meet someone today with this person, and the next weekend it's someone different, and you're just like, whoa.
What's going on?
Anyway, see no evil, talk, speak no evil. So yeah.
Wow. That's interesting. And for you, not like now being a DJ and attracting all that female attention, do you think it plays a role in your relationships?
Well, yeah. Honestly, you need to find someone who understands that once I'm behind the decks, that's a DJ personality out there. You know, that's me just playing, and I feel like I try being more of an entertainer out there. I try involve the crowd a lot in when I'm usually playing and everything. So she really needs to understand that at that moment I'm just working. After that, I also never have to follow through everything.
Yeah.
I keep my cool, and also now after that I'm Sam, and that's someone different.
And how do you handle song requests? I know that's one thing that DJs hate.
To be honest, sometimes someone can request a banger and you'll just be like, yo, that's a good song.
That's a good song, yeah.
But then I hate it when someone comes and starts bugging you.
Yeah.
He's like, yo, play me this song. Yeah, I heard you the first time. And I've been good enough to listen to you. You know, some other guys don't take it at all.
Yeah.
So I'm good enough to like give you a chance to talk to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if it's a good suggestion, yeah, probably I'll play it. If it's a bad one, because sometimes, let's say you're probably you're playing house, someone asks for like a Travis Scott song, and you're like, yo, these are two different genres, man. They can never go together.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's now a dumb request, and I'd be like, yo, I'll just be like, easy, just move on. But then sometimes just accept that it's a personal space. Imagine you're here like doing your pod, then someone just comes and tells that now let me show you how to host this podcast. Yeah, it's kind of disrespectful. So yeah,
A bit, yeah.
you can't just come show me how to do your job. But if you have a good request, it can work. Yeah.
I get it's just the same way. I think that now that you've put it that way,
Yeah.
I think it's the same way that I do the podcast. Like someone comes up with a good topic, I'm like, yeah. Someone comes up with, I'm like, that's a bit out of my zone. Like it's not things I really talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I totally understand. And back to your DJing career, what do you think has been your worst experience as a DJ?
My worst experience as a DJ, I'd say that day that I was really battling my mind and my mental health.
Yeah.
That was it really sucked, and I was just like, what was going on? And
Yeah.
yeah, but stepped up from that. So that's honestly one of my worst times. I don't think I've had. Oh yeah, I remember the time someone spilled their wine all over my laptop,
Oh my God.
and I was just like, yo, what's going on, man? But luckily enough, I was able to salvage the equipment moment. It wasn't too bad. So, yeah.
And what's your best experience as a DJ?
My best experience. I've had a good time DJing through the whole time, yeah. But one of the moments which I really remember was sharing the stage with Maphorisa and Kabza from South Africa.
Wow.
I really used to look up to those guys like from a while back, yeah. So getting the chance to share a stage with them, and guys really also jammed to my set that day, and I just felt it deep, and I was just like, yo, it's really been an interesting journey, and I'm grateful for where I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as we come to the end of this podcast, I usually ask my guests 2 questions. And this year I've flipped it up a bit. So the first question is, if you were in my set, what would you ask yourself that I haven't had the chance to ask you? Or maybe I just forgot to ask you.
Yeah. That's crazy. It's a tough one, but then I feel like I just ask myself like someone asked me, but then if the journey has been easy, is it easy being a DJ? Like people would say, or people would think. And honestly, it's a craft and it's an art to a way, because you're the one who's trying to control the mood of like people out in the club and try and keep them having a good time when they come out to the club. So it's an art, and you really have to put in so much time, because like I've told you, from 2013 is when I really started, looking into this thing. I've had moments where I just wake up and just play music for about 3-4 hours in the house, just lying to myself that one day I'll be out here playing for people, but it's come to be, so I'm grateful for that as well. So DJing ain't as easy as people might look at it from outside. You have to put in the time, you have to put in the practice, you have to understand it's going to be tough at some point. You won't get the gigs to a point where now you're being called for gigs, and I'm like, yo, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
and in fact, now before I ask you the last question, I want to ask you something. And do you think your career, for sure, it messes up with your sleep schedule? So how do you work around that? Because I'm working on a book, and it's around mental health. And one of the things and topics I've been researching on is sleep. And the importance of sleep towards, your mental health. So how do you work on having a good sleeping schedule and, ensuring that works?
Well, you'd find that personally I'm working on the weekends, yeah?
Yeah.
So that's most of the time just Thursday till Sunday again, or Friday till Sunday. But then, especially when I came back, I was trying to be so mindful with it that I was trying not to take any gigs on my Saturdays as well. Just leave my Saturday open, because I knew I'd be booked from Thursday all the way through. But then I tried to keep my Saturdays open. But before that, I take my weekdays quite sacred to me, quite important, because I really have to recharge and get that energy back. So luckily enough, we have like a farmhouse like outside Nairobi. So I usually sometimes go out there, chill with my folks, have some intimate times with them, so that you get to also feed the energy they give you and feel the love they give you, and remind yourself that you're not going through this alone. Because if I'd stay here in Nairobi, sometimes it gets lonely, and during the weekdays, and you're just like, man, you're tired over the weekend, probably hungover, and you're like, what's going on? So yeah, I usually try and leave like the city sometimes and just get my energy back, get to recharge, and come back when I'm feeling full enough, Yeah, and sometimes, honestly, if I can't do it, I always like also communicate to like the managers and the bar owners, like, please I can't take a gig on this day.
Allow it.
Just let me chill, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember the point last year, or 2019, when it was ending, I was doing so many gigs at like back to back, and it was really challenging. That I told guys like, yo, let me take a week off. I took myself down coast alone, man, just a solo trip to relax and just be out of it. Then got back, and and was back full of energy. So I tell guys like sleep is important in everything we do. We really underestimate what sleep is and how much rest is important in our well-being, in you protecting your mental space. So try catch as much sleep as you can, because honestly, I always try make it like 6 to 8 hours a day. If I can, in the night, I have to sleep for that much so that I can go on in my day. So guys, don't underestimate what rest can do to your body.
Yeah. And now to the final question is, what's the most important thing you've learned? How was your life before learning that?
Yeah.
And now that you've learned it, how's your life?
I think I mentioned it, but then it was all about self-love, and also getting to reward yourself and sometimes celebrate your own wins. Now, before it was tough to, if you don't have like that, if you don't love yourself, there's usually things where you find like little guys online or what. Sometimes you can be really bothered by other people's comments and things. You can be on like Twitter and just see someone has tweeted out something, but then you feel it like bother you, pass it to a personal level. Yeah. So before I feel like before I started to appreciate myself more and love myself a little bit more, such things would really mess up my day as well. So I'd be like, yo, I have a bad day because probably I read some comments somewhere and this is a keyboard warrior out here just trying to kill someone's mood out there. So yeah, but then after that I started appreciating like every single stuff I do. I've been reading Will's book, and you can see somewhere in the start he talks about this thing of, sometimes you look at the bigger picture and you feel like things are tough and things are unattainable, and they're trying to build up a brick wall. I remember his dad was just telling him, focus on the one brick you're laying. Don't look at the whole wall. Just look at the brick you're laying, lay it perfectly, then move on to the next one. Before you know, you're going to be done and you're going to be there, and you'll be so appreciative of every step you've taken, like to build up that wall. So yeah, so I just decided to love myself before I give other people love out there. But at the same time, don't be a hater.
Yeah, don't be a hater. Yeah.
So love yourself, then allow yourself to celebrate your small wins, because if you don't do that, you'll never be appreciative of anything you do. We're always out there chasing the grind, but we forget that, there are small wins you've done along the way. If you can't look at them and be grateful, you'll never feel like you're satisfied even when you achieve what you set out as your goal at the end of the day. So take your small steps and be grateful of where you are at the moment. Yeah.
Well, bro, I don't know if you have anything else you want to share with us or anything else you want to ask me.
Honestly, I'm seeing you starting this new journey of the videos, the short videos.
Is that why you got the white shirt?
Yeah, nah, I love wearing white as well.
Yeah.
I feel like it symbolizes a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, like what made you get into that?
Wow. Well, that's actually a very good question. So basically, for those who don't know, I started something called the NYEUPE series.
Yeah.
And the NYEUPE series is basically, I called it NYEUPE because of Swahili. That's the word for white. And like you said, white represents a lot of things, and white represents peace.
Yeah.
So basically, one of the things that, as I've been working on the book, I realized is a lot of us are struggling with peace. Peace with the world, with society, with our parents, with our friends. And then now, most importantly, that affects the peace within us. So I said, I'll come out there and share lessons or things I've come across that might help someone have better peace within them, or create better relationships with their parents or their friends or the world. And once you have that kind of relationship, it helps you within. Yeah, so I found there's a lot of relationship between inner peace and mental health. Yeah, so that's why I started the new series.
True, I love it, man.
Yeah, thank you so much, bro. Thank you so much, man. I'm just waiting on to get the videos back, and just release them there. Short videos as well. what I saw was that sometimes, people might not have the time to listen to a whole 30, 40, 50-minute podcast, but they have 30 seconds to 2 minutes to listen to a small message that, can influence them.
Yeah.
And then also, one of the things that really motivated me to do it that way was, because of AI, people are constantly sharing, bad things. And that's now what you're feeding your AI. So your feed is constantly full of negative things. And subconsciously, that's affecting you, But if we could share more positive things, then probably we could be more happier people, If you look at, like, for me personally, my feed is full of, positivity, like, I even send my friends like some quotes that I see, or I post them online. And then even one of my friends asked me the other day, bro, when you sit down and you look for these things? And I'm like, no, bro, like, that's constantly what's on my feed. It's because that's what I've, interacted with. And it's just the same way, like, for you, if you interact with music, a lot of your feed will be around music. And you've seen Instagram has even gone ahead to say that we see that you liked this post by this account. Then they give you a post by another account. So you see, that's just AI. So if you're liking dark stuff, they'll constantly feed you that, because they're like, this is what interests the guy, this is what captivates the guy, this is how we can steal his time longer. But if there's more positivity, then I think it goes a long way.
I got you. That's amazing, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming to grace the podcast.
Anytime.
Thank you so much, for taking your time, It's a Thursday. We don't know if you're busy or not. So I really appreciate this. And for those of you guys who are listening from home, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for coming to vibe with me on another episode. And just remember, just to kick it is a blessing. Goodbye.
Cheers.